What's up, YouTube? What's up, Twitch chat? Everybody watching live over at twitch.tv/the_control freak. Just got through with a really awesome Rakdos Shadow list. Somehow managed to 4-1 that one. Saw a lot of Scourges and Battle Rages and Street Wraiths getting cycled. And for the second league, we're running through some Shadow Zoo. We haven't played it since last week. Some of the updates to the list. The last one we ran 4 Tribal Flames. Not very impressed with Tribal Flames. I think if you want to run the card, like, power to you. It's not my favorite. The sorcery speed on it as a removal spell looked really, really bad. But if you're just wanting like the extra burn spell, go crazy. Instead, we are going back to 2 Teferi Time Reveler, 2 Dramoka's Command in the main deck. Also added in the 2 main deck Tarmogoyf. Just as a little extra punch. The rest of the main's the side, the rest of the main is the same. And the sideboard added 2 copies of Rest in Peace to replace the 2 Teferis that came in. Added in an Engineered Explosives and a Natural State over the 2 Unlicensed Hearses. So kept the Grave Hate up, added in a little extra insurance against like Rhinos and Hammertime, stuff like that. But we're going to see how it goes. And yeah, I'm a little concerned about the Goyf in the main with the Rest in Peace in the sideboard since they're both good against like mURktide. But ultimately, I'm kind of banking on like if I find Rest in Peace, I don't need Goyf. But Rest in Peace shuts off Unholy Heat, mURktide itself, Dragon's Rage Channeler. A lot of their good cards. So we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed it goes well. But we have been on a 4-1 tear the last couple of weeks. All the live stream leagues have been 4-1s. All like the voiceover recorded leagues have been 4-1s. We need 5-0s. Honestly, I'd be fine with a 3-2. Just some sort of a change in pace. Prefer 5-0s, but it seems like all of the 1 losses have been either a match like against Affinity where our deck just stopped functioning. We didn't see the 3rd land ever. We had a loss against Burn. I think it was like late last week is our 1 loss when opponent just went like 1 drop into double burn spells into Sanctifier on Vec, into like 2nd Sanctifier. And we lost 1. I lost 1 on stream or off stream. Can't remember what I was against now. Too much to remember. Either way, hand's good. Turn 1 Ragavan or Thoughtseize, depending on what we're up against. Turn 2 Goyf or Thoughtseize Stub. This can get Steam Vents. So we've got everything covered except for, or not Steam Vents, Breeding Pool. If we want to play Goyf and Stubborn Denial, or it can get Overgrown Tomb if we want to Goyf and Thoughtseize. Either way, we've got options. Opponent mulligans to 6. Looks like mURktide. If it looks like a mURktide and quacks like a mURktide and swims in the water like a mURktide, it's probably a mURktide. All right, so we want to get Overgrown Tomb. Or no, let's just go ahead and get Breeding Pool. We can get like Blood Crypt or Savai Triome or something with that. But if I end up getting a tapped land, I want to have Stubborn Denial available. Okay. Good draws are good. So I probably want to be a little conservative with this. So maybe I want to Dramoka's command and fight something here. No, let's just pass. We can get like Blood Crypt or Savai Triome and Leyline Binding if we need to. I think I'm going to Leyline Binding. See what happens. Are you willing to pay your treasure token to get rid of this? Nice. So did they sack their token and not pay? Whoops. Instant lands. This is fine. There is the mURktide. I guess we're just gonna take the mURktide. Good fight. I think that does a lot for me here. I think I'd rather wait. But I guess at the same time, like I'm not going to be able to fight and hold up Stubborn Denial. I guess this is fine because now I get to fight and then have Stub next turn. All right, so 1/1 counter, fight, counter, fight. Any more card types we can get in the yard? Doesn't look like it, but needed them to not have the extra land there. Unholy Heat, Counterspell, Unknown. Yeah, we're going to make you get the Counterspell out of hand. Your band's pretty decent. Lightning Bolt off the top. One time. Not a Lightning Bolt, but we'll take it. Game 1 goes to the good guys. Alright, Game 2. Got Rest in Pieces that we really want to try out. Bluster Storms are good. Veil. Veil's whatever. It's not great. It's not terrible. I want Veil to be better. Maybe I consider it. I'm going to keep in the Goyves. Board out Thoughtseize. Board out. Guess I'll keep the Shoba Brawler. I'm just not going to bring in the Veils. I like Veil against like Thoughtseize decks. Grixis Shadow, stuff like that. But against mURktide with all their bolts and unholy heats and stuff like that. But ultimately, mURktide like should be. I know we've lost to it once with this deck, but mURktide should be a reasonable matchup, assuming they don't have like a bunch of dress downs and don't aggressively see all of their blood moons. Okay, so now I can go Steam Vents for Bolt. Yeah. Steam Vents for Bolt, Overgrown Tomb, Plains. Ledger Shredder. Hate the card, but I do like the art on Ledger Shredder a lot. Literally just got scrolls being torn up. I appreciate it. All right, since we've got the basic planes, we're not in like a terrible spot if they Blood Moon. And I would prefer they don't Blood Moon, but can't have our ledgers and shred them too. Ragioli. Okay. Oh, yeah. Better to have binding, or is it better to have stub? Probably stub, because I kind of expect a counter spell here. They can very easily get delirium online. Have like unholy heat to kill my my Goy. So this is certainly not a foolproof plan. Deck looks wild. I love it. It's been pretty fun. It's all over the place. It's definitely a work in progress, but it's got some pretty solid cards to it. Mana base definitely needs some work. Ditch Blood Moon. Okay. Take a hearse. Love it. Okay. What are we doing here? We've got options. I think I'm just shock in, go to combat. See what they do. Eat their own Bauble and Blood Moon. Sure. Walk with Ragavan. Sure. Kind of want to get rid of this Ledger Shredder right here. Or do I want to just get rid of like, let's go for just pass. None of these look like super thrilling to me here. If I can't like decide on a play, I don't really want to force myself to do something. We get through these triggers. What if I go like Dramoka's command, fight? I think I like that. 1/1 counter, fight, counter. I guess I could fight the big one. Fight, counter, counter, fight. They want to crew the hearse, that's fine. In Scalding Tarn. So we'll go to my turn. Start with Leyline Binding on the Shredder. They got to respond with crewing the hearse. And then we get to March of Otherworldly Light, the hearse. And hopefully that's all she wrote. Leyline Binding. And I guess I could have a removal spell for the brawler. They have a removal spell for the brawler. Might just play the Kavu and pass. Assuming it's like removal spell for the brawler, crew the hearse or something. Really? And that's got to mean removal spell for the brawler, right? So you die. Is that what you're telling me here? That you're Why did you activate the hearse in response? Does nothing for you. Okay. Match 2. Something something paid actor. Well, either way, 1-0. It always feels good when you beat a deck like mURktide, like a known quantity, top of the meta kind of deck that's pretty reasonable against most everything. Just kind of makes it feel for a second like, oh yeah, this deck's like halfway coherent. On the draw with a Kavu. think I'm gonna throw this back. It's a combination of like being on the draw with a relatively slow hand when I've got a lot of 1 mana stuff in my deck and 4 lands. All right, this is a reasonable bit better. Throw back the stub. Hammertime. I could get Overgrown Tomb, Thoughtseize. I like that. Could have a Spell Pierce. If they do, so be it. No, I was joking. I was joking. It's not okay. It's not okay at all. Ugh. Imagine a world in which you're allowed to have 2 mana on turn 1. Simian Spirit Guide was banned. Well, in the sideboard, we do have like EEs, Wear Tears, Natural State, Alpine Moon, Night of Autumn. So. Stoneforge gets what? Nettle Cyst. Okay. Esper Sentinel. My life miserable over here. I want to trade. Yep. So Nettle Cyst, unknown. We can beat the Nettle Cyst. Unfortunately, we don't have a Watery Grave in the deck, so I can't get like a way to play the second Shadow and have Stubborn Denial available. One step at a time. All right. So you hit me with Nettle Cyst. Maybe Nettle Cyst and Stoneforge. That's fine. All good things, all good things. All right. We need what? Kavu's not bad. Kavu is not bad. Need them to brick, but If they do, we're like reasonable. One brick. Hey. No. No. We need a way to get blue mana. How much is this to re-equip? 2? Only 2? A little bit surprised that they're not like moving this over and attacking. Like, I get that it puts you in a little bit of a precarious situation. You lose a creature, you make the shadows bigger. All right, now I'm sure they will. Nope, never mind. Okay. Is this just like to fairy bounce something? Is this to fairy tick up? Am I dead as hell if I tick up? Not dead on board. Yes. They want to like move stuff over and attack to fairy. I guess if that was the case, I should have just taken the free draw, bounce something, and like, and let them attack down the Teferi. Now they're just going to be able to like move something over, attack Teferi, move it again. They just found a Cauldra. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, Cauldra off the top. Gross. Grody. No bueno. Cauldra. Well, we've got a bunch of answers to Cauldra. 4 Leyline Binding, 2 March of Otherworldly Light, 2 Teferi. Doesn't do so great if we don't see them, but they're there. Actually, I think I like a couple Ragavan better than a couple Thoughtseize. Definitely going to have to go back and look at that game. See what we could have done better. Can't keep a one lander. That's better. So let's throw back. Throwing back Overgrown Tomb. Yeah. We can get the Savai Triome if they don't do anything we care about. We can get Sacred Foundry and like tear a Sigarda's Aid if we need to do that. Temple Garden. Playing Temple Garden for. Well, they just have a super good run out here. We're kind of in trouble. A Wire Might in the sideboard. Weird. They already like never aggressively fetch out Hollowed Fountain. It seems kind of weird they'd add another color to it. Alright, can we start finding stuff? Guess that's kind of stuff. That is so aggressive. Like protecting an ornithopter. I mean, I guess you're like, if I save it, whatever, but I don't know about that one. Sacred Foundry, plate to Fairy. Like, I just can't imagine. I mean, I guess I can kind of imagine the 5 damage mattering, but Pure Steel plus Hammer. Okay. You have another like Ornithopter. Oh, they got the Esper Sentinel. That's right. Ugh. Got the Esper Sentinel was an artifact. So bounce the Giver. Protection, the pure steel, sure. A lot of shadows. Tear the hammer. Get a card, but we get 2 artifacts off the board. Here's a shadow. See what we got. Feels pretty bad because we got like 4 leyline bindings. All right. 4 leyline bindings, 2 March of Otherworldly Lights, 4 lightning bolts, natural state, 2 EE, 2 Dramoka's commands. Like, see, won't let me move everything. 2 March, 4 binding, 2 Dramoka's commands, 4 lightning bolts, natural state, 2 EE, to a lesser extent, Night of Autumn, 2 wear and tear, and all we saw was 1 wear and tear. Like, that's a rough one. Well, this is great. Then it must be pilot. Absolutely. How dare I not draw more 8 pieces? Need to run the numbers and see how many green cards we need to run for a Force of Vigor. All right. Guess we're just going Sacred Foundry into Breeding Pool. It gets everything in our hand online if we draw another land. Back-to-back hammer. I'll trade off a Ragavan with a Sentinel since I got the backup. Fair. Deem yourself Big Chungus. Easier said than done. Okay. Who's ready for this? The hidden mode on Dramoka's command. I would like to cast this. I would like for you to sacrifice an enchantment. And I'm going to put a 1/1 counter on my Ragavan. You can draw your card. Nice. Brawler action. I think I'm going to play a Springleaf Drum, but I will play out this Neshoba Brawler. Pure Steel Paladin. Let's go ahead and kill something into turn. Gonna get to draw a card regardless, so. Okay. Yeah. Who's the Hammertime deck now? Think I won't trade your Memnite for your Esper Sentinel. Nettle Cyst. Got this fancy little ley line binding. What? Yes. I will pay the one. Out of here. Three, four, five. Sure. Didn't quite have lethal, but opponent sees the writing on the walls. Now, let's try this removal thing again. See if it works any better this time. Fingers crossed. Like, I'm going to feel bad if this game goes smoothly and all I can think the entire time is, oh, if the last match had gone half as well as this, we would be okay. If this like goes horribly, horribly wrong and we end up losing this match, then I can't do anything about it. I don't think I can keep a hand with only green and white mana. It's better. It's not like, oh my god, this hand is fantastic. There's no way we lose, but better. You're like slow rolling your own turn one. I can't do anything. I want to lightning bolt the ornithopter. So I'm going to. I no idea if that's right or wrong. But I'm kind of hoping to just like delay them a turn. Doesn't look like it mattered too much. Aldra. Yeah, doesn't look like it mattered. Deck really needs to like function on mana and spells. When it does function, it feels really, really good, but as soon as you like miss a piece, it feels rough. All right. We can march the germ token. Is that winning me the game? Trying to decide if marching the germ token is going to help me win, or is that just like playing to not die here? Yes. Like, I think if my Kavu was a little bit bigger, I'd be more inclined to just play it out. But a 2-2, I feel like isn't really doing anything, and I really need to attack in with it. Lands. All right. Lands. Bruh. What's with all these one landers? One lander into the four lander. Okay. We can make this work. I think. Get Sacred Foundry, play Ragavan. never just want to play like a I don't know, Giver of Runes or something on turn one. I was like, hey, here's an Esper Sentinel. All right. So we've got Fetch Up Breeding Pool, Dramoka's Command, counter on the Ragavan. Ragavan fight the Ornithopter. They draw a card, but we get rid of both their dudes on board. And then obviously, if they had blocked the other way, like the Ornithopter on the Ragavan, then we could have still put a counter on the Ragavan, had it fight the Esper Sentinel. We end up in the same spot. At 2 Ginger Brute. It's the old to double block the Ragavan. Here's Kabu. Go. So now we've got Stubborn Denial up. Okay. Chill. Chill. Just a game. Just a game. Let's get Savai Triome. Oh yeah. Exile. Sentinel. Sure. Looking at me funny. Options. I could just tear the Urza Saga. I think it's better for me to just pass. Like if they just hold up Urza Saga, then I feel like I'm kind of okay with that. So response to this, we fuse Wear and Tear, blow up the Saga, blow up the Hammer. And really, really hope they don't have another Hammer in hand. Pass it back. They go. Okay, maybe we can find a way out of this. Get out of your saga. Get out of here. Sure. Get an artifact off the board. Get pure steel off the board. I feel like after that block, you're very far ahead. I wouldn't go as far as like very far ahead. I feel like I'm a little ahead. It's like a march. March of Otherworldly Light on my Kavu. Yeah. Let's bolt this one. If we top deck a Ragavan. All right. Definitely far from unbeatable. As we see here. I'm gonna go ahead and cast this since I have the second one. All right. Kind of a wash there. Another saga. There's no way your hand is like Saga, Pure Steel, Hammer, Rye. All right. Live draw. Live draw. Mm. Could be worse. All right, well, we can leyline binding one of the constructs. We need like a shadow. Really just like any good sized threat. I think we just die if we play out Gigante here. Yep. Now I think it needs to be a shadow. We're dead if we don't draw live anyway, so I guess best series of draws would be Teferi. I think we boarded out both of our Teferis. No, we still got a Teferi. Teferi into shadow. Okay. Step one. Okay. Maybe they've forgotten what my last card is. Add explosives to the list. Stuff to draw. Yeah. E on 0 would have been pretty solid there. It's like top deck of Cauldra. Oh man, twice in 5 games that my opponent top decked a Cauldra for lethal. We definitely need to reevaluate Hammertime. But at the same time, like, a lot of those games felt like bad mana troubles. So, or a lot of mulligans, I should say. A little bit of mana troubles, a lot of mulligans. Which at 20 lands, kind of okay with. Opponent has mulligan to 3. So Tron. Guaranteed Tron. Let's fetch shock Thoughtseize. Unless they're planning on just like scooping to our first play. They revealed Giganta, so I'm assuming they're on Tron. Yep. It's kind of funny because they're gonna see Giganta, Fetch Shock Thoughtseize, or Fetch Shock Blood Crypt Thoughtseize, and think we're just on like some normal Grixis Shadow, Grixis mid range. All right. Do we think that this is Tron? It could just be like another Shadow deck that just had bad mulligan luck. So maybe there's a chance that I don't want to go crazy with the mulligans or like the sideboarding. Been streaming for 5 hours, have I? Guess that sounds about right. Hidetsugu in this list. I know some of the zoo lists run Hidetsugu, but I think for a lot of them, like what's it called, Wild Nikotl and stuff like that, it's probably coming out in matches that they want Hidetsugu. I'm not bringing Shadow out, so I'm a little hesitant of having a card that's like straight up at odds with our shadows. Ooh. All right. How about the old pass, hold up, stubborn denial, or fluster storm? I get steam vents off of this, cast one of my counter spells. Next turn, I untap. Get like Ragavan off an Overgrown Tomb and Thoughtseize. Let's go Steam Vents, Fluster Storm, because Fluster Storm's going to get worse as the game goes on. Now, I could dash Ragavan and Thoughtseize, but I kind of want to just like never invest mana into Ragavan again. And I want the mana advantage. So I'm going to be like trying to double spell pretty aggressively. Scrying Sphere, Relic. Well, we'll take the guaranteed Tron land. The next turn, Foothills gets Sacred Foundry. We can Kavu off Tomb Foundry. Hold up Stubborn Denial. Hope that they whiff on Tron here. Oh, man. Like, this is the Tron experience when I play against Tron. Like, hey, I've got Kavu, I've got Stubborn Denials. Oh, let me just Ancient Stirrings into a Worm Coil engine and blind draw the Expedition map when you tap out. Like, let me get the threat that gets around Stubborn Denial. Let me get the way to get Tron online. Like, what if you didn't? Throwing it out there. If you didn't get all of the good cards in one draw. Just for the fun of it. Just Try out something different. Might as well stub Relic, because I can't stub a Worm Coil. He's drawing more maps. Bruh. This is hitting for 7. Guess we're just ditching the Lightning Bolt. Looking for a Leyline Binding. Worm Coil Unknown. Just like the soul being sucked out of my body. Like, oh, what's the worst thing my opponent could do here? What if we top deck Karn for Ensnaring Bridge? Can we get a little justice in the universe? Just like a little bit with a Leyline Binding off the top. We'll also take March of Otherworldly Light. We've got 6 of those between the two. Nope. Nope, we cannot. I mean, on the bright side, we get to go into game 3 on the play. We get to bring in like Night of Autumn, Natural State, Alpine Moon that we didn't bring in because we weren't 100% sure we were against Tron. But still, like, I think this is the epitome of my experience versus Tron. And I know I say it a lot how one of the reasons that I started the channel was I hated people saying like, oh, you just have Shadow and Battle Rage and whatever and kill them. And it doesn't always work out that way. And I think Tron is like the perfect example of that to me. Like, I had Ragavan, triple counter, Thoughtseize, Kavu, and just had to deal with like Blind Rip Expedition map, Blind Rip Ancient Stirrings for the Worm Coil that I can't counter, Blind Rip Karn, just like subsequent draws. There wasn't a, hey, wait, give it a couple turns and then draw something good. Like, no, just turn, 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 turn. Alright, I just needed to vent. Venting's over. Go shoot some Karns. Really want to see turn 1 Ragavan into some way of like blowing up a map. Ragavan into Wear Tear, Ragavan into Night of Autumn, Ragavan Natural State. And who wants to bet money? If I see a hand of Ragavan and way to blow up a map, they're going to have land Chromatic Star. Not Sphere. It's going to be Star. It's going to be the one that you blow up and they get to draw a card. Hand's terrible. And is better. We'll keep it. Throw back Savide Triome. No, we'll just throw back Shadow. I'm a ways off Shadow. Tron opponent kept 7. Natural Tron 4 payoffs. Power Mine Forest. We're going to take Star. Go. If they only had one payoff, maybe I take the payoff, but since they have multiple, got it. Stubborn Denial's pretty good draw. Power down. Okay. Oh, man. Fool me once, Tron. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. There is a literal 0% chance I am playing this second Territorial Kavu right now. Because I know for damn certain that they've got some way to get Tron online. And if I cast this Kavu, I will die. So I'm going to cast Alpine Moon. Name Mine Tower Power Plant. There you go. Next turn, hit for 5, put them down to 10, play second Kavu, hold up stub, and pray to the old gods. Got him! Yes! Justice! Justice! Knew it! Every fiber of my being knows my luck against Tron. Every single fiber of my being. Not a doubt in my mind that they would blind rip the Tron land. Like, never in doubt. Never. That is called not playing Magic. It's called playing your luck. And I know my luck. I cannot wait to upload this particular league to YouTube. Just for that moment right there. Beseiju. Can't do anything about. Yep, let's get breeding pool. Ugh. So rewarded. Oh man. Justice. Justice for every decision I've ever made in my entire life right there. Ah. Sigh of relief. Sigh of relief. Feels good. Feels good. I get that I'm overly dramatic about that one, but that one that one touched my soul a little bit. Whew. Okay, on to match 5. That was sweet. That was my Magic Online experience. Like, there is so little reason that you shouldn't just play the Kavu there, pass the turn, have the big clock going, stub their next thing. But I know my luck against Tron. I know they're going to draw the thing they need just every single time. All right. Hand is hand's magic cards. Uh-oh. No. Let's go Steam Vents. Steam Vents Ragavan. Another mURktide. It's a weird league if it ends up being like double mURktide, double Hammertime, and Tron. All right, no second land, please. Pass the turn. Okay. I've got to try to get down Kavu here. They've got Counterspell, like, I'm in a rough spot. But I just don't think you can reliably beat, like, Ragavan into removal spell, backed up by Counterspell. It's just too much. I've said it once. I'll say it a million times. Ragavan is like up near the top of my list of cards that I think need to be banned just because they create terrible, terrible experiences. It's just if you do not have the turn 1 interaction for Ragavan, the card snowballs so incredibly fast. And then even if you have the turn 1 interaction, the fact that they can just dash another one on turn 2 means that it's like so damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I just have a really hard time saying that that's like a healthy kind of card to have. And straight into the mURktide. All right, we need a leyline binding. Only they listen to my deck building restrictions. Only one legendary per deck, which is how it should be. We're so good at this. I'm absolutely okay with like limiting to one per legendary. Like I think it should be one per legendary, like one per mythic, 2 rares, 3 uncommons, 4 commons. Also, Dunbar, did you play in the pre-release? this last one. Because I certainly didn't. Like, Ragavan is a namesake character in the Magic lore. There's no reason that there should be 4 Ragavans in a deck. You get 1 Ragavan. There's only 1 Ragavan in Magic. Missed that one, out of town. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oko wouldn't have been nearly as bad with only 1. I agree. Completely. Oh, Michael Naden is Jabri. Guess I should have thought about that part. Could just get basic forest, and maybe I want to like basic forest, March of Otherworldly Light, the Shredder, and then play Ragavan. Move to Orlando? When did you do that? Like, it's a good area, don't get me wrong. Super bad traffic. In February, like last February? Dang, that has been a minute. Well, hopefully you're enjoying it down there. As long as you can dodge the traffic again. The last time I was in Orlando, like, having to go 2 miles down the road and it taking like 30 minutes plus to get there was horrendous. Jobs, Caitlin's family. Fair enough. Fair enough. As long as everybody's doing well. Good enough for me. Like 40 minutes north of the parks. My work's only 10-minute commute. Alright. Well, that's, if you're like that far away from the parks, that's a whole lot better. If you're right by the parks. Ugh. People are crazy out there. Yeah. Stop it. Alright. Maybe they won't hit anything crazy. Binding for my binding. This does cost 4, so it runs them out of all of their mana. Okay. What does this get? I have to shock in so that I can Gigantha and hold up Bolt. Assuming they've got Counterspell. Yep. Bolt at the beginning of combat to play around Charta Course. Modern staple. Have another Counterspell. Yep. Alright. Ragavan, triple Counterspell. Double Expressive Iteration, mURktide. Not a series of draws that we are very lined up to be. So on the play, we'll board out Thoughtseize. Let's go. Whew. Yeah, I haven't been down to Orlando in like 6-ish years. But I remember the drive from the Jackson area not being that bad, like 10, 11 hours, something like that. But I swear, like once I passed Tampa, it was like 3, 4 hours to get the last like 30 miles of the drive. Like it was so bad past there. I just don't know how people deal with that traffic daily. I had to drive it on Christmas because Southwest canceled it. God, I've heard about so many like Southwest cancellations or flight cancellations in general. I recognize that it was a very, very unique winter situation this year, but all right. Keep this. I can get Triome with the wooded foothills here. Then Breeding Pool gives us Leyline Binding. Fairy's one of the better cards in the matchup on our side. I could also just get like Overgrown Tomb into Sacred Foundry or something if I want to grow Shadow a bit quicker. But I think I'm just going to get the Triome. Widen the roads, added express lanes, so the traffic really isn't horrible. It's a lot of people, but it works. Well, sounds better than it has been previously. Like if they're making improvements, that's obviously a big plus. Like Seattle, I thought was going to be a lot worse traffic wise, but they had express lanes and a lot of good ways of mitigating it. They're just like digging for a land. Like maybe we should have countered the second consider, because if they're main phasing a consider, there's very, very little reason to believe they're not like trying to aggressively dig for a land. I'd totally be down to come down at some point. Need me a vacation. Obviously, not while it's like still winter conditions, but all right. Hard cast Ragavan. I'm gonna assume this means like spell pierce. I'm gonna go planes, binding the Ragavan. So I can try to untap, play to fairy on an empty board. Just get steam vents. Now I've got double blue available. If I can tap correctly. High is 85 on Wednesday. We don't have a winner here. Jealous. What's the high here? We just had another cold front come through like last week. It's supposed to be high of 58 on Wednesday, but then it's going to be like low in the freezings on Friday. Mostly high of like mid 50s this week. I guess it isn't the worst. Still colder than I want to deal with. They don't have delirium. Fury's an interesting one in their yard. Might try to like Ragavan plus Bolt the Teferi. Yep. Go ahead and nip that. All right, something good. Something good. That's okay. We'll take that one. Dash Ragavan. EE. Am I playing EE? Maybe I go like Shadow Brawler EE on one just because I can. All right, OP. Nothing crazy. Okay. On to game 3. Anything I'm changing up. Falsies is better on the draw. Maybe I want it to help protect some of my turn 2 plays, like Rest in Peace. That. Like, never want Ragavan turn 1 on the draw. Sure. I've got a lot of live draws, I guess. Temple Garden lets me play turn 2 Kavu or have March or whatever. All right. That was kind of like the big hold your breath moment, is opponent not having a turn 1 Ragavan. But I do have to think, if they've got like turn 2 Ledger Shredder, do I want to March of Otherworldly Light, exile Leyline Binding to get rid of it so I can just like play a Kavu on an open board? If they're doing nothing. All right, so they're on a mulligan. We are not a very good draw go deck. Really, really need a third land. Let the Kavu resolve. Just mean dress down. Blood Moon. Heavy Theft. Okay. Get rid of a Goyf. Okay. One land, one time, please. I'm gonna play my Kavu. Land. Land. All right. Yep. Find the dress down. Are they gonna dress down and kill both of our Kavus? Okay. Land. Land. Leave deck. Hmm. Guess I can still like march up to 5. No, I can march up to 6. 2, 4, 6. Yep. Okay. Land. Land. Should have been more specific. That's on me. I will take that L. But this does give us ley line binding. They've got Unholy Heat, Brazen Borrower. They haven't missed a land drop, so there's like a reasonable chance that they've got more land in hand. Okay. Land. This time I'm pretty sure we'll take any land. All right, they did not play a land. They've got 4 cards in hand. We've got double binding, stub. Odawara, my Tarmogoyf. Let's go. Binding. Finding the Brazen Borrower and March the Channeler. No more Ragadans, please. Like a mURktide. Only a 4/4 mURktide. That's pretty okay. Sorry, my bad. 5/5 mURktide. I apologize. Alright. This is really good for me. They're gonna let me resolve Teferi. I feel like I've got to go for that. So I really want to hit lands. Get out of here. Nope. Lands are not coming on this day. Replay the mURktide. Okay. Shadow. We can hold up Leyline Binding and like Stubborn Denial. Not a big reason to do anything right this second. Fairy is a gross magic card. Like, this thing never should have been printed. Really kind of wonder what's in their hand. Hard cast a Fury. Okay. Built to Fairy. Seems reasonable. All right, Breeding Pool, actually a surprisingly good draw there. So I could go like Dramoka's Command, counter fight, hold up, stub, Flusterstorm. Let's go Shock in, attack. I could also play Tarmogoyf. I think this is better. Counter fight. Green white. Fight. Flusterstorm that. Obviously, we wish we had a lightning bolt here. Alas, we do not. All right. Land lightning or Ragavan lightning bolt counterspell. Rag lightning bolt counterspell. I believe I just let this go. Okay. Why? The reason to not exile the dress down or the spell snare? That here's Tarmogoyf. There you go. Well, if it's double mURktide, it's double mURktide. Yep. Damn. So they had to draw an instant or a sorcery right there. Ah. Would it have changed anything if I'd cast Flusterstorm? They'd cast Consider, I Flusterstorm, they pay the 2, I Stubborn Denial. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, wouldn't have mattered. Triple mURktide. Hmm. Like, all right, going back to the another mURktide argument. Would it, if you have another mURktide, you know you have another mURktide. I still feel like it's better to just exile to the first one. Because you need another spell to make the second one live, or to make the second one lethal anyway. So why not just make the first one bigger? If I deal with your mURktide, like, you're probably not winning the game. But why not counter the EE? Because I had Tarmogoyf still as like a lethal threat. Like, if I counter the EE, I leave myself open to like double bolt or something. If I let the EE go, I still have a lethal threat behind the shadow and can protect it. Like, I think double bolt or like Ragavan bolt, something like that, is way more likely than my opponent having double mURktide. But shows what I know. So biggest issue we had in this league was mulligans and mana. Like, when we got 2 lands, the deck functioned pretty well. But when we had to keep a 1-lander, it was horrific. And we mulliganed a lot of either no landers or 1-landers. I really don't want to go up to 21 lands. I feel like we should be okay with 20 and Ragavan. Like, all we need is 2 to function for the most part. The Hammertime matchup was rough, but I feel like we've got a lot of stuff for that matchup. Maybe I need to reevaluate Wear Tear, Night of Autumn. I thought about Force of Vigor. Force of Vigor could still be an option because we've got like, what, 12 green cards here. We're bringing in 13. If we play like 2 Force here, a 3rd Force here, then we're going up to, what, 16 green cards? I don't know if that's enough for Force or not, but could be worth thinking about. Otherwise, Leyline Binding still a pretty solid, pretty busted Magic card. If you haven't cast this card yet, highly recommend you adjust that and do it. Not a fun card to play against. Pretty fun card to play with. Let's see. Here we go.